This is Judge Joe Brown, and we're listening to We All Be News, news-free Dixie for the 21st century.
Hello, Mr. Williams, you there?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was actually, first of all, I want to say it's an honor to talk to you, sir. You're Captain Jerry Williams of the retired Memphis Police Department, right, the MPD?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And so I was like to ask you a couple questions concerning April 4th, 1968, the assassination of Dr. King. I want to know, where were you located, or do you remember where you was at?
Yeah, I was at my office, at the homicide office at that time. I was a homicide investigator. And early that morning when I reported to work around 8 o'clock, I was told by my inspector that I wouldn't have to work that day, on security. So I felt then that something was wrong, it was unusual. And because for the past several times that Dr. King would come to Memphis, the black policemen, uniform men and plain clothes would be in the security for Dr. King. But on this particular incident, there was no black officers that was assigned for his security.
Who was responsible for organizing that black officer unit that protected Dr. King, that security detail? Who was responsible for that?
Well, my inspector, the late Inspector Don Smith, was the inspector, and he was in charge of security at that time. And he would only get me. I would be selected from the detective bureau. They would usually get men from the detective bureau for those assignments. And there were several policemen who were assigned from time to time that Dr. King would come to Memphis.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, on this particular occasion, as I recall, none of us was assigned to report to on that particular day, the day that Dr. King was assassinated. There were no black officers, and to my memory, that had anything to do with Dr. King's security. I don't know why. Down through the years, I felt that possibly some of our black leaders, supposed to have been leaders who were supposed to make sure that that was what had happened, but apparently they didn't. They would not have. See, during that time, the NAACP and the NSC had a conflict. It's just like a gang war, a gang conflict, Mm-hmm. NAACP was not as good a work as they did. They were working on one side. They were working on the judicial side and trying to get things done in their way, and which they did a good job. I'm not really down on them about that. But then when Dr. King was coming to Memphis, I think they felt like that he was interfering with what they were trying to do. I would put it in that respect. So the NAACP did not get involved until after Dr. King was assassinated. And then everybody came to front, Maxine and Jesse Turner, all of those people who were in the forefront of the civil rights movement was not in tune with what Dr. King was trying to do. Now, that's my feeling about it, and I would tell anybody that to me, it was just obscene, because they did not, as police officers, we were in a kind of particular situation because we were during that time, there were a lot of strikes in Memphis. There had been 1 or 2 riots and everything. And of course, we were not in the front of that. It was the white officers who handled that. And it was the white officers who were supposed to have been in charge of Dr. King's assassination, not the black officers.
So you said the white officers, actually, you said there was conspiracy involving white officers in the assassination of Dr. King, white Memphis Police Department officers?
Yeah, it was Memphis police officers, but they were white officers.
All right, it was like, well, go ahead, I'm sorry.
But to my knowledge, there were no black police officers, and I know that there were several white officers who were on the scene at the time that Dr. King. Now, I was at homicide, as I said. I was in my office, and I was told about 5 o'clock that afternoon that Dr. King had been assassinated. And I didn't believe it at first because one of the officers they reported to me was a white officer, and I didn't have much confidence in what he was saying. But the next 4 or 5 minutes, the inspector came in, the inspector of the bureau. He came in and said Dr. King had been assassinated and that we got to get down to the scene.
So you mean like not 5 o'clock, but 6 o'clock, right? You were talking about it happened at 6 o'clock, or did it happen at 5 o'clock?
No, it was around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, to my knowledge.
Okay.
Because I was working from 8 to 5 or 8 to 5:30, and it happened between that time. I know it was between right around the 5 o'clock hour. Because shortly after that, within minutes, the Memphis Police Department was getting, excuse me, they were calling because my inspector on the second thought said that 2 of us, there was 2, may have been 3 white officers, but it was two white officers, detectives, and myself. My inspector asked us to stay in the office to receive the calls. And we did. Within 8 to 10 minutes, there were calls coming in from all over, from California, and coming in from New York, and even coming in from England. And
well, the press was calling, or who was the people that were calling?
No, the press was calling.
Okay.
For information. And we had to have them to refer to the police director at that time, and the calls. So we at that time we had not even gone to the scene yet because it took us a few minutes to collect the calls that we had to get before we left going to the scene. And when I got to the scene, my partner and I met one black officer who had reported to the scene, and we got together, he and I, we were both plainclothes detectives. I think he was working homicide. I believe he was at that time, and his name was A.L.L. Berkeley. And he and I drove to the scene, from the scene to the hospital, the St. Joseph Hospital, and here on the north, just north of Memphis, north of the police department. And we went in and we viewed Dr. King's body, and we saw where he had been slaughtered and everything. And I recall talking to the nurse, or maybe the doctor, why had his body had been sliced like that, from this chest area, was just laying over. And he said they were trying to massage his heart, get his heart started back. That's about all I can remember offhand. And I said that Dr. King, but he was a wonderful man. He died a death that was really, it was to help black people all over the United States. Not only black people, white people had, a lot of white people had, not the racist type, but a lot of white people had a feeling that Dr. King had done a wonderful job in his career as he were trying to bring about some type of recognition and conciliation, not only between white folks but black folks as well. And I think he did a marvelous job. And the thing that bothers me, young man, is that I see our young black men who do not realize what this man did to help us. We see our young black men are just going wild and going with the British swagging and all that. I think if Dr. King came today, he would certainly be embarrassed to see this type of carrying on today. I really didn't get the chance to talk to you, but I'm just telling you in essence what I know about it, and we're going back almost around 40 years now. Yeah.
I want to ask you like some couple of things, key things. Was it unusual for a black person to be admitted to St. Joseph's Hospital?
No, that wasn't. No. That wasn't unusual. It hadn't been just before that the hospital was segregated. But I think that because my father had been admitted to a hospital before that, so there were black people who had been admitted there. But it hadn't been just too long before that, because civil rights didn't come to the South, in particular Memphis, as I recall, until the schools were desegregated, and then the public facilities were desegregated, and that happened just during the time that Dr. King was coming in and out of Memphis, because some of the places were still segregated.
Do you remember the first time Dr. King came to Memphis, or the first time you worked the security detail for Dr. King?
Not about 3 years before Dr. King came to Memphis. His final destination was he came to my church. I'm a member of Metropolitan Baptist Church, and he spoke at that church at that particular time. That was my first time of hearing him. And about 2 years later, he came again. And the third time he came, Abernathy came just as Dr. King had been assassinated.
What was your thoughts about Dr. King as a person? I mean, the chance to, did you talk to him? Or?
I had talked to him briefly. My situation more or less was to see that he was secured in an accurate way. We wanted to make sure that when he was at the hospital, not hospital, but the hotel? Hotel, just correct. And I wanted to make sure I would have my men to go in and check the security. My security men would go in and check the bed, check everything, check the telephones and everything, make sure. And then I'd have one man posted. Every 2 hours I'd change up. We'd have two men posted. And one of the things that I do remember, at that time the police commissioner was, to me, he was a professional man, and he was a white guy. His name was Claude Armour. And he told us, without any equivocation, he said, look, we want to take care of Dr. King as long as he's in Memphis. Said, don't worry about your overtime or nothing. So if he's here 2 days or 3 days or whatever, so you just keep the tab of the overtime and just make sure that he is protected. Say we don't want anything. If something happened to him, we don't want it to happen here in Memphis. So that was his take on it. But shortly after he retired, during that time the city council came into being. Before that time, we had a commission form of government. Okay. And during the changeover, during the transition, we had another man who came to be the police director. His name was Frank Holloman, who was a retired FBI man, and he was a racist. So that's about all I can say, man.
Oh, that's cool, but I always ask about Frank Holloman. You ever had a chance to talk to Frank Holloman personally?
Personally, no, only doing a staff meeting or two or something like that, but not on a personal basis or anything like that.
Let me ask you this, go ahead, I'm sorry.
That was the extent of my time president. Holloman was here maybe a year or two before Dr. King passed away, and maybe a year or two after he passed away. I heard that several years later he passed away. He was in a nursing home, a care home or something before I heard he was before his final days, where I understood he spent his final days in a nursing home or care home somewhere.
I believe he was a FBI agent for like 13 years on the J. Edgar Hoover, who was not Dr. King at all.
That's right.
Extremely good. Yeah, he was a G-man. I want to ask you this, where did Dr. King normally stay as far as a hotel? I know there's a controversy Did he stay at the Lorraine? Was that his hotel that every time he came to Memphis he stayed at, or was that a different hotel?
It was more or less. I'd carried him to the Admiral Bimbo and hotel here on Union in Memphis, and I do recall that there was somewhat of a controversy because they said that he should live in a black surroundings or something like that. And they didn't particularly care about him staying there, but Jesse Jackson was more or less in charge of that situation, because the man that owned the motel, Mr. Bailey, he told me that Jesse Jackson wasn't paying any bills, and that he didn't leave there paying none of the bills that was accumulated during Dr. King's visit there. So I just don't know, man. These black people in Memphis was something else back in that day. And our so-called professional blacks was trying to emulate the white folk, consciously or subconsciously, and that's just about the way it was. And there's no doubt in my mind that there was one or two blacks that might have been involved, indirectly involved. I think I mentioned to you when we first talked, you mentioned this. Solomon Jones.
The driver that was the driver for...
yeah, that's right. I had a feeling about him because I knew that he'd been informed for the police department, and that they had a lot of takes on the traffic tickets, not traffic tickets and some other things they had on him before during that time he was assigned, and I know that some of the members of the police department took care of him on that.
That's real. What about Billy Cowell? Have you heard anything the contrary to what Billy Cowell said? Like, he got a documentary saying that he spent the last hour of Dr. King's life in room 306, him, Dr. King, and Rapper Abernathy. I heard there was conflicting reports that he wasn't in that room for an hour.
For how long?
For 1 hour. He said he spent the last hour of Dr. King's life.
It's a good possibility that he was in the room with Dr. King, because he and Reverend Abernathy and Jesse Jackson were in the room. But because they were coming to have dinner with Reverend Cowell at his home, my understanding, and that Solomon Jones were the official driver for Dr. King and little R.S. Lewis Funeral Home was always a courtesy car for Dr. King whenever he came to Memphis.
Did Solomon Jones work for the R.S. Lewis Funeral Home?
Yes, he did. He worked for R.S. Lewis Funeral Home.
Whatever happened to him? Is he still alive, or
I don't know. I heard that he went on to be a minister, and I just heard that. I'm not sure. And somebody told me several years ago that I talked to somebody, and they said he still lives, and that he lives in Chicago.
Okay. What about, are you familiar with I know you're familiar with Larry Payne case. What do you think about that case, the Larry Payne case?
Larry Payne?
Yeah, he was the guy, the 16-year-old that got killed in Dr. King's last march from Fowler Homes.
Yeah, I remember that incident. I remember the incident because he was at the Fowler Homes, and that was during a curfew. And he was, at that time they had National Guard and the police riding together in units. And one of the units of these policemen and the National Guards together fired on that man. I understand now. I wasn't there on the scene, but I understand that they shot him and killed him. He was shot in the back or something. Or just shot him down.
He was shot with his hands up in the air. I had talked to his mom and family over the break, and I was just like, they said that the guy who killed him, L.D. Jones, is still alive. I don't know if he's alive or not, but he never was charged. Nobody was ever charged with their killing, because it was like witnesses all over the place that saw what really happened.
Well,
the mom of the boy, they
said the officer's name was what now?
L.D. Jones. His initials L.D. Jones. Last name Jones. But he said he's supposed to be dying on his deathbed, whatever, with nurse care around the clock. I don't know what's true or not. But I just think it's sad, because I think about that case and also the Elton Hayes case both of them are very disturbing to me. And, like, those cases are being forgotten about or they're not being passed on to the next generation to understand how far we came and how far we still got to go.
It was, to my best of my attention, to my recollection and checking this thing out myself.
Mm-hmm.
And you might, this is just confidential, I don't want to call no names or anything, we're just talking, but there was a policeman there, his name was E.C. Jones.
E.C. Jones, okay.
He went on to be a city councilman and later in life, because that time I think he hadn't been too long being a policeman. But he went up and got to be a city councilman. And I understand he was the one, but I'm not.
I understand what you're saying. You're not certain that you're just saying.
No, I'm not certain, but I've heard that down through the years that he was the officer that was responsible for that young man being murdered like that.
Well, I know the FBI was looking at it and they stopped looking into it, but they told the family that this guy was on his deathbed. So maybe he had to be somebody with political connections to be able to get the FBI to stop looking for him like that, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's to my knowledge. This man's still alive, so I don't know.
He used to be a city councilman. And like, he had a reputation for being tough on black people or being tough on
No. He went on to be a nice guy, I guess, after that, because I knew him. I didn't know him as a policeman, but I learned him, and as I had some dealings with him as a city councilman down through the years. But later on in life, I understand he was a young policeman, that he was the one that was responsible for that boy's shooting.
Oh, wow. I mean, I'll let the question here on just to talk to him and see where he's at on that. And also, I'd like to ask you about Morrell McCullough. Were you familiar with him at the time?
I heard of him, and he was a policeman, and he I don't know, there were 2 or 3 policemen that had been assigned. We wasn't assigned. This man, McCullough, I remember him. He was a young policeman, and
I believe he was Army Intelligence while here. He was an Army Intelligence officer, too. He was over Dr. King's body in that picture when they were pointing. He was like the guy kneeling over Dr. King's body on the balcony.
Well, see, they didn't let the black officers participate in none of that thing, but it concerned Dr. King. Only thing we would do, and then we had 1 or 2 black guys that didn't want us to be in charge of Dr. King's security. I remember I had Jesse Epps was one. You remember Jesse Epps?
That sounds familiar, yes, sir.
Jesse Epps was in charge of the sanitation union. I forgot the name of the union, but Jesse Epps was in charge of the union, and Jesse Epps was very fiery, and I thought he was a man to really do something, but he didn't do anything. As a matter of fact, he tried to hinder us in our security because when Dr. King would come to Memphis, we would get a selection of men security people who had training in this type of thing. And we would go to the airport, and I'd have the information because the late Ben Hooks would call us. Ben Hooks was, at that time, he was chairman of the SCLC in Atlanta, and his office would call us and let us know when Dr. King was coming, and so we could prepare security for Dr. King. And Jesse Epps wanted to be in the front line of it, and I would not allow him. I said, look, we're going to have a caravan. You want to be in the caravan? I said, the police is going to lead the caravan. And he didn't like that. And so I told him, I said, no, we're not going to let you do that. So he didn't like that. That was just one of the incidents that I remember him. And I had somebody to tell me that Jesse Epps was anti-police, but police. Because he never did show me anything that he was really involved, concerned about Dr. King. Some people just trying to, make a headline for themselves,
Well, actually, this like I heard throughout the year. I mean, that Billy Cow's legend was a police informant for the MPD. Is that true? To your knowledge,
they said that. They said Ernest Willis was a good friend of mine. Ernest Willis was on the police force. He was one of the first black policemen. Ernest Willis was. He didn't stay long. He was out 3 years, then he got back into photography. But Ernest was accused, and I think I saw the documentary film on. Andrew Young said that he didn't think that there were many black people who were giving information to the FBI for whatever reasons, and he didn't really think that Willis was doing anything other than giving pictures and things. Willis made a lot of pictures for everybody, you know, and the FBI may have acquired some of his pictures, but I don't believe that. And I knew Ernest well, just like a brother, and I just don't believe that he was involved in it.
Let me ask you this then. Do you think he had the mentality of a police officer still? Like he was trying to do a community service? Like he was still thinking like a police officer? Like I know he retired from being a police.
No, he didn't. He wasn't that long. He was there about 3 years on the force. We started in 1948. And this was one of the 9 black officers that started, and he was with us when we started. We just now started together.
Oh, so you were the original too, sir?
Yes,
Wow, that's amazing. I'm going to ask you this. I want to know how hard was it? Cause I talked to Mr. Withers several years ago. I had the blessing to speak to him in his studio on Bill Street. But I want to know what type of mentality of, how was it to be a Memphis police officer back then? What could y'all do? What y'all couldn't do? Was there any restrictions?
Well, initially, we were not allowed to arrest white people. Now, the inspector who was in charge of training, he was a brilliant man, one of the most brilliant white men that I ever met. And he had been a lieutenant colonel in the campaign when he was in the Army. Excuse me, for General MacArthur.
Oh, wow. So you was in the Pacific?
Huh?
He was in the Pacific or something, the Pacific thing?
Yeah, in the South Pacific. And this man, Inspector Bill Ray, was a lieutenant colonel with him. And of course, when he retired, he came back to the police department as an inspector. He was a brilliant man. He told us, as young black officers, he said, look, let me tell you something. He said, we were just in training, and we were just young recruits. He said, I'll tell you, he said, now, you're all going to be just as much a policeman as me or any other white person. You're going to have a badge, a pistol, and everything else. He said, but I advise you, this would be my advice, said, because you're not going to be accepted totally by your own folk, black people. You're not going to be totally accepted by white people. So I just advise you to just kind of take it easy until things get to be normal, which will probably take 3 or 4 years, and he was right. We didn't have any problem with white people because at that time Beale Street was just full of blacks. You wouldn't have 10 black people that go on Beale Street in a 24-hour period. I mean, for white people, they just didn't come down there unless it was a special show, a midnight ramble or something like that, and they would come down there for that. And but basically, Beale Street was for black people. So we didn't really have any trouble with white people down on Beale Street, and we never really had any trouble with white people when we were in some communities that we had to go into.
Yeah, so, I'll be aiming to cut you off. Go ahead, sir.
So go ahead. I didn't stop.
I want to ask you, so you saying that you could say a white person commit a crime or kill somebody or rape somebody, you couldn't arrest that person?
No. The police chief, police commissioner at that time his name was Boyle, Joseph Boyle. And that was during that time there was a rash of holdups, liquor store holdups. And I asked a question because Commissioner Boyle came to the meeting that night at headquarters, and I asked him specifically. I said, "Look, do you mean if a white man come in that store or something, we couldn't kill him?" He said, "Look, anybody, black, white, or blue, say you do what you got to do." And we've taken that for a cue that, you know, if something goes wrong, we can handle it. So it took a while. Like I said, maybe 2 or 3 years, 3 years at the most. Because when we first started up there at the police station, there was just a little bench that several officers would sit in because everything was segregated. White people sit in the front and black folks sit in the back. And we sat right on the side bench just opposite the court clerk's office. And until our cases were called, and then we could leave. Now we did have privilege to go in the restroom, but other black folks couldn't go in there at the time. There was a restroom there that we went into, and nobody said nothing about that. But I'm going back 60 years ago, man. That's been a long time.
It is, but by the 50s, y'all were able to arrest white people, anybody.
Yeah, it took a while. I think one incident that I can always remember is that my partner and I was riding in a squad car, and we were at E.H. Capt and Walnut about 3 o'clock in the morning. This white guy came through. He was intoxicated. He was driving, and we pulled him over, and he could barely get out of the car. And, of course, we called the white officers. They came. They carried him to headquarters. And the next morning I went to court to testify. And this white officer got up to testify as if he actually made the arrest. Personally himself, you know. So the judge didn't like that. He knew such thing was going on, but I guess at this particular time, he said, "This enough is enough." I would say that was his take on that. He said, "Officer," to this white officer, "did you actually make the physical arrest?" No, Your Honor. Officer Williams made the arrest. He said, "Officer Williams, you come up, you testify." And that's how we started testifying in court against white people. That took several years.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So years after y'all became officers in 48. So there was about 55?
Yeah, we came to office in 1949.
Oh, 49, so about, 57 or 56?
Yeah, that's
okay.
Right.
Let me ask you, you remember a case by a brother named Trigger Slim? You remember him?
No.
Okay, Trigger. Okay, what about, what were your thoughts back then about the invaders, the Memphis invaders, and what are your thoughts now on the invaders?
Well, they were just a bunch of young thugs, and they I don't know who was in Dr. King's group, but they are the ones that started a lot of that mess down there. So to get Dr. King in that trouble, the trouble that we had on Main Street at the time, that marching when they started the route.
On March 28th? Yeah, on March 28th.
They started that. They invaded because they went over to Carmel High School and they invaded their high school. I mean, they turned the school out. And so one of the white officers came up. There was about at least a dozen more white officers and squad cars and all. So I lived in the neighborhood, so I came up there and they said, "What's going on?" They told me, I said, "Well, they trying to turn your school out. So we're not going to be concerned. If they don't want no school, so that's fine, you know, like that." So that was the invaders who started that, and they got some money for that. I don't know which one of the guys. There was about 9 or 10 of them. There were 3 or 4 leaders, at least 3 leaders. Because I know during the time that at Attn they had a get-together with the young people over at Cleveland Temple Church. And he wanted to interrupt the meeting, and these invaders. And I wouldn't let them interrupt the meeting, so I said, "You stay here, and I'll go and talk to one of the people." I believe it was Andy Young, and I made mention to what was going on, and he, whatever it was, he got it quilled down and everything.
Were the black ministers in Memphis receptive to Dr. King and the SCLC coming in to try to help out with the sanitation workers strike?
No, not really. Not really. Dr. King and those sanitation workers were mostly did the thing by themselves. They knew it was wrong. I remember one time, I never forget, there was a white officer who worked with me in homicide, and we looked out the window at City Hall, and we saw those black men marching around City Hall with the placard saying, "I am a man." And so one of the white detectives said, and he must it frightened me with the way he said it. He said, "That's a shame that those men got to do that." He said, holding that garbage. And what he was saying was, maggots go down their backs when they pick that stuff up, because back in those days, you didn't have a dumpster like they have now. You had to go to the now you go to the curb, and they got something to put the thing in there, so you don't have that kind of situation. But back in those days, they had 10 tubs, and the garbage would be picked up from the backyards. And most times they didn't have plastic bags and things like we have now, so most times the garbage would just run down the men's back and neck, and they didn't have no kind of protection. They didn't have no security or anything. I mean security. I'm trying to get.
Sorry, there were 2 workers that fell in the trash compactor while they were eating lunch.
So what now?
The 2 sanitation workers who fell in the trash compactor in the garbage truck.
Yeah.
While they were eating lunch, it brought Dr. King's attention to what was going on in Memphis.
Yeah, one of the dumpsters, that man was crushed in it, you know, as I recall. It was crushed in that dumpster, in that sanitation dumpster. They had the compression, and it pushed the truck back in the truck, and this man, some way or another, he managed to fall in there, and he was crushed to death.
Were they eating white sanitation workers back then?
No. Why they?
I don't see none now. I don't even see none.
Might have a white foreman or something like that. And you know what? I'm gonna tell you, man. I wish these black people ought to realize they got jobs now. Back there in those days, they didn't have no seniority or nothing. You work on the job 15 years, the white man didn't like it. Tell you, nigga, you go on, you fired, you know.
Right.
But now these people got seniority. They got everything. And they don't have to work in the rain no more like they used to. They can come in 4 hours if it's a rainy day or something like that. So they got all kinds of convenience that they didn't have back in those days. And these black folks, some of them don't even want to take your garbage out. You know?
Do they have the benefits? Like Dr. King came out here to help them get certain benefits.
Yeah, they did get benefits, you know. And but what happened? Jesse Epps.
Okay.
Well, one of the men, I think, now I don't have this in writing, but I was told that he was one of the men that he had somebody else that encouraged the sanitation workers not to take out Social Security.
Really? Wow.
So as a result, Social Security is not taken out for most of the sanitation workers even today. Yeah, so
I know that's still an issue, but it should have been resolved 40-something years ago.
Well, yeah, but they evidently they signed an agreement with the city hall down there, and men like Jesse Epps and things like that signed a contract agreement, and I don't know why, because they should have known that they would need Social Security. Their pension would not. They felt like when they got the pension that would have been secured enough for them, but it wasn't. So that was the situation. Man, I just enjoyed talking with you, and I hope I gave you some insight.
Oh, yeah. It's an honor to talk to you. I mean, you one of the first black Memphis police officers there.
Yeah.
I wish we had more officers like you, unfortunately. I see around the country, but...
Well, thank you. We have another black, and this tour was still alive, Roscoe McWilliams.
Okay.
You may have heard of him. He's still living as far as I know. And myself.
So y'all the last two?
Yeah, the last two of the black officers.
And is he in Memphis?
Yeah, he lives in Memphis. I don't remember. I know where he lives.
What's his name again?
Huh?
What's his name again?
So what
is his name again? The other officer still alive?
Roscoe McWilliams.
I'll look him up, man. It was an honor. I didn't know you was one of the first, man. I talked to you and Mr. Williams, so I've been blessed.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Well, I was blessed. I have been blessed. I'm 84 years old now.
Oh, that's a blessing. You don't sound like it, man. He's like you live a good life.
Thank you, man. I'm doing pretty good. I keep busy. That's what the good Lord let me do. I got real estate that I'm dealing in and working every day. I work 8 to 10 hours a day.
Oh, wow.
I got 2 houses that I'm working on right there. You know what Slave Haven is on North 2nd?
Yes, sir.
Well, I got 2 houses I'm working on right there next to the Slave Haven house there. And did you ever know that Joan Nelson, she was a civil rights worker.
Okay.
And she lives one of my apartments there. Yeah.
So she actually was an activist back in the day?
Yeah, her name's Joan Nelson.
And who she worked with? I mean, who was some of the people that she worked with? Any organization in particular?
I wish you would, if I get her number, I'll let you and ask her. I'd like for you to interview her.
Oh, yeah, it'll be an honor. It'll definitely be an honor to get all this history, man, because we got to learn how to do what y'all did back there. In terms of getting something, man, we don't know how to do it right. We got more technology and resources than y'all, but y'all know how to get it done on a shoestring budget.
We tried to. We had to because that was the only way. Black people was on our necks. The white people was on our necks, and we had to do what we had to do.
But you ever think about how crazy it was for us to be subjugated like that, to take all that stuff we took?
So what now?
Like, you ever think about how crazy it was? You look back on it that they hate me and they don't like me because of the way I look, something I can't control. You ever thought about how crazy that was when you was going through it?
No, but you know what? There are people even today, black people, even today. You know, I go back to, they was just talking about 150 years ago after Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. And I go back to how some of the black people were doing back in those days. I just read an article on Reverend Benjamin Mays from Morehouse and how he lived. His grandfather or his father was in the time of slavery time, and Mays went on to be one of the most prominent black men in the whole United States.
Dr. King's mentor, right?
Yeah, that's right. So, and I wish young people would understand and realize how these black people, with the struggles that they had no opportunities. But they made opportunities, and they did well for themselves. My school is Booker T. Washington High School here in Memphis. Are you a Memphian?
Yeah, I'm a Memphian. I'm familiar. Y'all got a proud history. I know y'all trying to get President Obama to speak there right now. Hopefully.
That's right. That's my alma mater there.
Yeah, I had a joint graduation with, I don't know if it's Booker T. Washington. Oh, I'm going to get it right now. It was Manassas at Hamilton. They brought Mary McLeod Bethune here at Mason Temple. A lot of people don't even know about that history, but Booker T. Washington, one of my favorite musicians is Johnny Ace. I know you went there. He didn't finish.
Yeah, I remember Johnny Ace. Yeah, I remember him. Johnny Ace.
He was great, man. People forgot about him. Man. I mean, he was like before Elvis. He paved the way for so many other people.
Yeah. Did Johnny Ace get involved in a Russian roulette or something, killed himself? I believe that was.
He shot himself in the head, but he didn't know the gun was loaded, though.
No, he didn't know it was loaded up.
But I heard some stories about that, you know.
Yeah, I remember him. I remember he used to come to Club Headed down Bill Street all the time down
there. What do you think
about
him? What do you think about Johnny Ace?
As far as I know, he was a great musician, young man. He's a great musician, one of the greatest. I wish he had lived, because he started out just a little before B.B. King did.
I mean, I know they wasn't the Bill Streeters, but he became bigger before they did, because, I mean, they said that before, if you want to get Johnny Ace to play at your club or your venue, you had to book B.B. King and Bobby Blue Band as his opening act.
That's right. But
they started out in the Bill Street as him and Roscoe Gordon and BB and Bobby and all of them. He made it bigger before all of them, but he was like the brother who had the golden voice. Yeah, that's right. I love him. He was quite a guy, a young man, I tell you. You think he was set up? I mean, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah, wherever he would have a fair show, it would be a sellout, you know. He was really good.
From the time, man, I'd like to get with you and we converse a little bit more, yeah?
Yeah, I appreciate it, Captain. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
You live in Memphis, you say?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, I live in Whitehaven. I'm right around the corner from Grayson.
Oh, yeah, that's far from my grandfather's house. Okay.
Yeah, where your grandfather live? What street?
He live over there off of Miniger. Over there by Lincoln.
That was first place where we drove squad cars. That was up to 15 around Miniger and over there. Yeah.
We always allowed to have squad cars. Y'all have squad cars when y'all first came?
Yeah, we started when we first came, but they didn't last long. And then we got our cars back again. I mean, around 1951 when Melvin Burgess got on. Melvin Burgess, and two or three others got on doing. That was in 1961.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but anyway, I'd like to meet with you and talk to you, son.
Oh, we'll talk again. Definitely, you got a lot of history. I get the history out and give it to the young people.
Yeah. Well, I had talked to Dr. Cash over at school, and he stayed so busy. I told him we need to talk, and I need to talk to some of the people, some of his young people.
I don't know if he really care about all that. I really
don't. A man make $300,000 a year, and a guaranteed contract, and make if the job falls, he still get paid for the next 2 years. So
I mean, he's corporate welfare. That's corporate welfare at its finest.
That's right. Well, look, man, you call me back again, and we'll talk. Yeah.
Yes, sir, Captain Jerry. God bless, man. Thanks a lot.
God bless you, man. Take care.
You too.
All right.
Bye.